Welcome back to Vectors and Relativity, and this time we will learn how to add vectors mathematically.
Alright guys, welcome back. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding vectors but mathematically. So let's look at this problem here. A plus B plus C equals, so we're adding all these vectors, but we're going to do it mathematically this time. So what you want to do is you want to draw out the vectors kind of arbitrary. You don't have to be as detailed with when it comes to doing it graphically. So for example, this is vector A. Vector A looks like this, and it's 10 miles north. What you want to do after this is you want to figure out how much of this is in the x direction and how much of this is in the y direction. So we can see this, and we can see that it's not in the x direction at all, it's just going straight up. So 0. And in the y direction, it's going 10 miles upwards. So I'm going to do positive 10 miles. I'm just going to put 10 miles. Now we're just going to do a vector B, which is 7 meters at 30 degrees. So what we're doing, we're just going to kind of just draw it out. Okay, so we know this is 30 degrees right there. And what we want to do now, so this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated, is we want to figure out what it is mathematically. So we're going to figure out how much it is in the x direction and the y direction. Let me see. Vector B equals 7 meters. Oh, sorry, this is meters, not miles. So we're going to find out how much B is in the x direction. So what we're going to do is 7 times cosine of 30, and then that's going to give us the x direction, which is going to be 6.06 meters. And now we're going to find what it is in the y direction. So we're going to do 7 times sine of 30. Okay, so we're going to be using the SOHCAHTOA rules. SOHCAHTOA. Okay? And then we're going to know that this is going to be 3.5 meters. And now 4 meters at 90 degrees south of east. So we know that this is just going to go straight down. Vector C is equal to 4 meters. So we know C in the x direction is going to be 0. And then C in the y direction is going to be not 4, but we're going to put negative 4 meters because it's going downwards. Okay. After we do that, now we want to find what everything is in total in the x direction and what everything is in total in the y direction. So from this one we have 0 in the x direction. From this one we have 6.06, and from this one we also have 0. So we have a total of 6.06 meters. And now let's look at this here. So this one has 10 meters in the y direction. This one has 3.5 in the y direction. And this one here has negative 4. So we're going to add this up, and what we get is 9.5 meters. Once we find the total in the x direction, total in the y direction, now we make another triangle, and this is to find the resultant vector. So we know the resultant vector is going to be 6.06 meters to the right or east, and then 9.5 up or north. And then again, you want to draw the resultant vector a little bit differently, so I'm going to make it just dotted like that. And now I know to find the resultant vector, all I'm using is Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So r is going to be equal to the square root of 6.06 squared plus 9.5 squared. We're going to do a little bit of math, and we find that this is going to be equal to 11.27 meters. But when we find vectors, we also need to find the angle. So we're going to look for that angle right there. What I'm going to use is the inverse of tan, because we know the opposite and the adjacent. So tan inverse is going to be equal to opposite, which is 9.5 TOA, over adjacent, which is 6.06. And this will give us the theta. Remember to have your calculator in degrees. So then what we get is 9.5 divided by 6.06. 57.47 degrees. And now let's put it all together. What we get is the resultant vector is equal to 11.27 meters at 57.47 degrees, and we call that north of east, or we could just leave it like that because this is a 0 and we're just going up. So I'm just going to leave it like that, 57.47 degrees. Okay? And that's how you do it mathematically. All you really want to be doing is you want to be breaking it up first, put it all together in the x and the y, and then again also put it together to find the resultant vector. Alright, next problem. Alright, you're looking for a treasure chest. A friend tells you to walk 5 miles north, then 2 miles west, and lastly 4 miles north or west at 30 degrees. Explain how to get to the treasure chest from where you started. Okay, so let's see how to do this problem. How you're going to do this is, again, you're going to be separating these vectors. Oh, north, west. Okay, so first of all, 5 miles north. Let's just call this vector A. So again, we can see that in the x direction 0, in the y direction it's going to be 5 miles. And now 2 miles left. Call this vector B. 2 miles. And then we know B in the x direction is going to be -2 because it's going to the left. And the y direction is going to be 0 because it's not going up and down at all. And lastly, 4 miles north of west at 30 degrees. So we're going to look at west first, and then we're going to north 30 degrees. It's going to look something like this. So this is 30 degrees. And this is 4 miles. So now what we're going to find the x and y portions of C. We know the x portion is going to be 4 times cosine of 30. So we're going to do 4 times cosine of 30, and we get 3.46 miles. And then we're going to do, for y, we're trying to find this portion, so we're doing 4 times sine of 30, and we get 2 miles. Okay, so you guys need to know your SOHCAHTOA for this. Once we find the x and y components of everything, we're going to find what the sum of all x's are and the sum of all y's. So the x's is 0, -2, and 3.46, so 0 plus -2 plus 3.46, and we get a total of 1.46 miles in the x direction. And then in the y direction we have 5 plus 0 plus 2, and we get 7 miles in the y direction. Sorry guys, I made a bit of a mistake here. Let's kind of scratch this for now. What I forgot to do is with the c vector, I forgot that this one was going to the left here, so this is going to be -3.46. So this is going to be -3.46, and this changes my answer to be 5.46 negative. Sorry about that. So now when I redraw this, how this is going to work is we're going to have 5.46 going to the left, and then 7 going up. And now when I draw my resultant vector, bop, 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 bop. But again, we're going to do the same thing. Resultant vector is we're just going to be using Pythagorean theorem. 5.46 squared plus 7 squared. And this is going to give us squared plus 49, 8.88. So this is going to give us 8.88 miles. And then, just do this. We're going to find this theta. So tan inverse equals opposite, which is 7 divided by 5.46. And this gives us a theta of 7 divided by 5.46, 52.04. So 52.04 degrees. And now, in the end, we can say our resultant vector is equal to 8.88 miles at 52.04 degrees, but we're going to call this north of west, or north from west. So north of west. Okay? Just like that. Alright, next problem. So, example number 8. Find the following resultant vector graphically and mathematically. Alright, so we're going to do this graphically and mathematically. Okay. So we learned how to do it graphically before, so I'm not going to do it graphically. I'm just going to do it mathematically this time. So let's just look at this. So vector B is 50 meters south of east 20 degrees. So I'm just going to draw that over here. 50 meters south of east. Okay, so it's going to draw something like this. And we have 50 meters. And this is going to be 20 degrees south of east. Okay. So, now we want to find how much of it is in the x direction and how much of it is in the y direction. So for the x, we're just doing 50 times cosine of 20. And for the y, we're just doing 50 times sine of 20. Let's see what we get. 50 times cosine of 20 equals 46.98 meters. And then 50 times sine of 20 equals 17.1. But what you need to know is this one is going downwards, so this should be negative right there. Okay? Next, let's do vector C, 42 meters north of west 40 degrees. North of west. So how this is going to look like, it's going to look like this. And we know that this is going to be vector C, 42 meters. Pop, 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 pop. And this is going to be 40 degrees. So we want to find how much it is in the x direction and the y direction. So we're doing 42 times cosine of 40. And we get 32.17. However, this is going to the left, so we have to put this negative 32.17 meters. And now let's find this. 42 times sine of 40. And we get 27 meters. And that's going up, so it's positive. Alright, last one, D, 23 meters at 210 degrees. We know 210 degrees will look something like this. Okay, and I'm going to put this. So if this whole thing is 180, that means this is going to be 30 degrees. So vector D, 23 meters. Again, let's find how much it is in the x direction. 23 times cosine of 30. And we get 19.92. But again, it's going to the left, so we're going to put this as negative 19.92 meters. And let's see in the y direction. We see that y direction is going down. And what we can say is this is going to be negative 11.5 meters. Okay. Now that we broke everything down, we're going to find the total in the x direction and the total in the y direction. So let's look at this one first. We have 46.98 plus negative 32.17 plus negative 19.92. Okay, and now let's look at the y direction. We have negative 17.1 plus 27 plus negative 11.5. And now let's put this all together. 46.98 plus negative 32.17 minus 19.92 and we get negative 5.11 meters. And then we have negative 17.1 plus 27 minus 11.5, and we get negative 1.6 meters. So now let's put this together. We have 5.11 going to the left, meters. And then we have 1.6 meters going down. Now we're going to draw a resultant vector like this. And we know our resultant vector is going to be Pythagorean theorem. 1.6 squared plus 5.11 squared. And we put this into our calculators. And we get 5.35 meters. But let's also find this angle right there by using inverse of tan. Opposite 1.6 over adjacent 5.11. And this will give us an answer of 1.6 divided by 5. 17.39. Yep. So we know that our resultant vector is equal to 5.35 meters at 17.39 degrees, but this is going to be south of west. So south from west, south of west. Just like that. Okay. Okay. This is the last one we're going to do. So mathematically find the resultant vector here. So we have A plus B minus C. Okay. So let's again just draw everything out. So we have A like this, 2 meters per second. So we can say A in the x direction is 0. A in the y direction is equal to 2 meters per second. 7 meters per second at negative 25 degrees. That means we're going clockwise. So we're going like this. B is equal to 7 meters per second. And this is going to be 25 degrees. So Bx is going to equal 7 times cosine of 25, which is going to give us 6.34 meters per second. And in the y direction, we're going to do 7 times sine of 25, which is going to give us 2.96. However, again, we are going downward, so negative 2.96 meters per second. Now let's look at the y. So it's 3 meters per second north of west at 45 degrees. So normally, what this would look like, it would look like this. However, what we need to know is this is negative. So because it's negative, we're going the opposite direction. So we're not going to do this. We're going to go completely 180 degrees the other way. So it's going to look like this. Okay? And then we have 45 degrees going this way. So this is going to be negative C is 3 meters per second. So in the x direction, we're just going to do 3 times cosine of 45. And we get 2.12, and that's going to the right, meters per second. And in the y direction, it's going to be the same answer because it's 45 degrees. So it's going to be negative, but it's going down, so it's going to be negative 2.12 meters per second. Now that we broke everything up, we want to combine all the x's and the y. So find the total of the x and find the total of the y. So x is going to be 0 plus 6.34 plus 2.12, and we get 8.46 meters per second. And for y, we get 2 plus negative 2.96 plus negative 2.12. So let's see what that is. 2.96 minus 2.12 and we get negative 3.08 meters per second. Okay, now let's draw this out finally. So we're going to start with the x. We're going 8.46 meters per second to the right, and then down 3.08 meters per second. Now draw our resultant vector. And we get the resultant vector is equal to 8.46 squared plus 3.08 and the square root of that. And we get 9 miles. Okay, so this is going to be equal to, not mile, 9 meters per second. Right. Okay, and then let's find the theta here. So inverse tan, opposite 3.08 over adjacent 8.46 is equal to theta. And then theta equals 3.08 divided by 8.46, 20 degrees. 20 degrees. And then what we get is the resultant vector is equal to 9 meters per second at 20 degrees. And we call that south of east, since this is going to the east and we're going south of